Welcome everyone, Dr. Thor here. Get ready for Gnosis. Excuse me. Let's talk about digitalizing and digitalization and why it doesn't work with higher consciousness bioenergies. This is something that is completely and totally misunderstood, and the shortcut simpletons that want to digitalize everything to make it some sort of sophisticated computer-based item is kind of amusing. I don't really think that computers are very advanced at all. And certainly AI has been caught in a corner of doing nothing. The imbecilic Elon Musk can't really do anything. The man's a giant con man that has produced absolutely nothing. And I'm going to be doing something on him recently coming as well. Following his new con man attitudes out there, which have been documented of his complete and total trickery and producing nothing. Now, we need to understand, first of all, if we're going to look at digitalization and the actual taking of energies and digitalizing them, we have to look at the concept that goes there. Now, there has been in the field of digitalization, we can start with the fact of CDs, DVDs, going from what's considered a videotape or analog signals into digital. This means that you're using huge amounts of data. Now, from what I understand, DVDs are about your average DVD is, I'm not sure what it is, to be honest with you, in terms of the amount of info there. I think it's just 1K. And of course, then you have Blu-ray, which is a dramatic improvement, which I think is, maybe it isn't 2K. I'm not sure if DVD is even up to a K, because I think a Blu-ray, which has a really fantastic picture, if anybody has any Blu-ray DVDs, and I kind of buy them exclusively now because I do appreciate the much better picture that you get. I believe Blu-rays are 1K and DVDs are underneath that. They may be 500 of whatever's under 1K. Maybe they're not got up to 1K. And then we have the 2K, the 4K that are coming out now. And this is the amount of information, to put it in a crude way. These, I believe, are the number of pixels per square inch or whatever it is technically. But we can say the amount of data that is processed. So the more data you process in a digitalized picture, the more pixels, the finer the quality of the picture. And it is radically different. If you look at the difference between, obviously, VHS tapes, which are all pretty poor. Even a good VHS tape was not very clear unless you had really top picture, top televisions and top recorders. When we jumped into the format of music, when it went into a CD quality, I heard instruments I've never heard before. CDs are really perfect and beautiful. People are trying to cry how much vinyl is better, and there may be some voice factors, but when I played records, even on the finest equipment with the finest needles, certainly there was a voice tone that was interesting, but half of the instruments you couldn't even hear. When you actually played them on DVD, or CD, I should say, you could hear everything, every little bit, and it's quite amazing, especially if you had a good music system. And I had one of the best, a Bose 5-speaker system, which was fantastic with CDs, and it was even okay with records because the system was so good. But there's nothing comparing to actually CDs. The same thing goes with the Blu-ray compared to a regular DVD, which are still, you pay premium dollars for, sometimes quite a bit more, to get the Blu-ray quality. Now, Blu-ray transfers that large amount of data through what? What do you think it's called Blu-ray for? That's a blue laser. Now, DVDs use red lasers because you're not, I should say CDs, because you're not transferring that large amount of data because it's only sounds compared to video, which takes a huge amount of data to get those fantastic clear pictures. So we need to understand how that all works. And as people, move into the better formats, which are basically higher amounts of data that are being processed, things start to change. Now, pictures were good right from the beginning with laser discs. This was a competitor to videotapes for a period of time. I'm not really sure why they didn't catch on more, but they were very expensive. You couldn't copy them. You needed special machines, but you were laser discs, and they had such better quality of picture because of the transfer of the laser. And of course, back then they were still using red lasers and couldn't quite get the quality. And we have used red lasers as well in our radionic type equipment in the past, and just doesn't carry enough information. Certainly is better over than anything else, and the junky garbage that you see from these fake computerized units that are made by people out there that have a tiny little calculator on top of scalar antennas is kind of a big joke. It's really junk technology that somebody wants thousands of dollars for, which is just junk, like all of that. So we need to understand how things are working out there and what kind of data are we dealing with. Biophysical energy, which is a combination of many different energies that the biofactory produces, amplifies, and connects to. Remember, you're connecting to, you're drawing energy in, you're producing energy. This is an amazing machine, the human reality. It is not just a chemical battery factory, as a lot would like you to believe. Now, certainly there are those aspects of it. There's a tiny electromagnetic aspect to the human body, but that's only one of the very detectable and primitive energies that the human body produces. But there's more than just producing energy, which goes into very high realms of energy production that really can't be measured properly. We've seen this even in a cruder way with the meridians, the chi flow through the body, which has been verified through different scientific methods. It's a proven fact that there are meridians and energies flow through them, and they can be measured through our primitive instruments of today. Now, in general, the energies that flow through the body have not been able to be properly measured by typical meters. And this is mostly because of the lack of interest and funding to do it. Could it be done? Of course it could be done. I've done it in different ways, and if I had the millions of dollars, or just one, I don't know how many billion it is, or hundreds of millions, that one stinking little rotten tank costs, I could have already done this. So there are many ways to measure the different bioenergetic fields, and there are many of them. As I said, it's a very complicated system of energies, the human reality, if you open up to it and you start experimenting with it. That's why people can build energies within them by building chi and drawing chi in, and then they're able to strike at a distance. And this is real, people. They can put their hand over your leg, which I personally has happened to me, and they can burn your skin without touching it by putting chi that way. So is this an inexhaustible energy? Of course it's not, and chi burns out very quickly, and you certainly couldn't do this for long periods of time, but it is a fact. And certainly chi fighting, while is very possible and real, is not really something you can do practically after you've dissipated a certain energy as well. So those are other complicated subjects that we'll talk about in the future. But the bottom line is that you're talking about this massive amount of bioenergies that connect to cosmic energies that you draw into you, and that's what all this kind of technology is about. Now, you as an entity are more of a channel than you are a producer of energy. Even when you build chi up in your body, you're building it from outside sources. You're not really making it yourself. A certain amount you do by eating and exercising while your body starts to produce higher levels of bioenergy. And this is internally. Most chi is considered to be accumulated from the outside, but it is not what you think it is in terms of this accumulation of earth energies per se. It's a complicated factor, and there are many variances in these kind of energies. Chi is not orgone, it's not prana, they're all not the same, they're quite different. And while there is a similar energetic value to them to a degree, it's the difference between different sources, the difference between gasoline, kerosene, or coal, etc. Well, yes, they all burn and create energy, but they're really quite different when you do the type of understanding and looking at it. There's a big difference between gasoline and coal, etc., even though these are things that produce energy. So we do have to keep that in mind to understand, and this is what sophisticated research and understanding of energies is all about. It's not easy peasy, people. It's not quick and simple to understand these things. It's not some mystical understanding of the world or contemplating your navel or sitting in a lotus position and calling some. This is real energetic situations and energy that can be measured, that can be used, etc. And of course, there are always spiritual aspects of everything. This is part of these energies. So these are areas that are really a difficult situation to fully explain, and hopefully I'll be laying this entire thing out and going through the different energy bodies, how everything works in my subtle energy physics course and my other energy courses in general. And of course, you have to know what these energies are if you're going to harness them. If you're going to make technologies and machines that are manifesting machines, then the fact is you have to make sure that you know what energies you're accessing. So this isn't some sort of placebo nonsense energy that common medical science likes to bow over to because they're such failures. This has nothing to do with that. Of course, that's basically what you could call that as primitive psychic energy. And it does work in some instances. I don't believe any of the studies that pretty much anybody does, no matter what side of the aisle they're on. So the whole idea is that we have to be very understanding of what the facts are, what the gnosis of it, so that we can properly make decisions to all these things. Not just slavishly follow nonsense that someone tells us because they're an accredited, a certified boob from a university or an uncertified boob that's from the New Age. They're both certifiable in my book. So we get all that to understand what's going on there. But let's get back to this data. And I don't think people understand that. I think a lot of people see the new 4K coming out, which is 4,000 digital energy lines, or not energy line. I think 4,000 pixels per square inch or whatever. It really doesn't matter, but you're going up in the amount of information that you're transferring, and by doing this, you can hone colors, you can change, you can do anything if you digitalize something, because then you control those pixels virtually individually to change colors, create sharpness, things that weren't even there. So, and that gives you a certain understanding of doing that with things that can be handled easily. And that is video, that is photography, that is manipulating photographs and videos. Now, this is ultimately, remember, that's only the top right now, from what I understand, is 4K or 4,000. That's the top they've got to? Well, that's right. Because Blu-ray, now that I remember, is only 1K. And it looks pretty damn good. I don't know what we need 4K for and how we can even tell the difference, but you can manipulate the picture better. And of course, there's a radical difference from regular DVDs and of course, video. So, and this is all about the amount of information processing you can do. So where does this come into information processing once you get into the biophysical? Well, the bottom line is that when you produce biophysical informational energetic fields, they're in the hundred, if not thousands of terabytes. So a terabyte is a huge amount of information, and some people are buying memory sticks that have 5, 10 terabytes on it, and they think they've got something for the rest of their life, because most things don't take up that much actual storage, particularly things like books and printed material or even photographs. When you start getting into high digital content or megabyte content like videos and so forth, well, then you start eating up terabytes still slowly, but it does happen. Of course, there's compression going on there and everything else now. But the problem is that you're talking about still huge amounts of information. Now, the average, the average email only allows you to send about 20 megabytes. 20 megabytes, which is a tiny amount. So in an email, that's all they can really carry to have any value. Most storage situations in terms of email and other things don't allow you to store much megabytes there, and probably no gigabytes whatsoever. So what you have to do is go to a storage place, put your whatever up there that has this large file, and then you have to download it from there. And that can take hours to download these types of files, even in this day and age. Now, how do they speed that up? Well, not very well. But the way that has been working to make cable faster is using fiber optics. Now, fiber optics is a fancy term for laser down a plastic string. So the whole idea is you're using photons to move the energy through a cable to you, which is the fastest possible way to carry huge amounts of data. There's no other way to do it. Now, advanced computers were supposed to move into photon use relatively quickly because they can't move too much data through mechanical means. So the whole idea is chips can only go so fast and computers can only go so fast. And that's why they're moving past this into these quantum computers, etc., whatever that means. They're even getting smaller and going even past photons, which is really probably a stupid way of doing things. The one thing nice about photons is they're also not affected by electromagnetic fields. You could take a laser carried full of information, send it through the middle of an electromagnetic generating power plant, and it wouldn't distort the information. So you can see how powerful it is, and you can also see why some of this is so overlooked. And of course, lasers are something that seem to still be mystified with people, even though that we use them every day. Every time you go to a store, supermarket in particular, but all of the stores now have laser scanning. There's a red laser that scans a barcode, and that then produces the price and helps them with their inventory. It's a fantastic tool for business. So every day we're exposed to it, and I don't think people think of it at all. Maybe they think it's a little LED light, but lasers not only carry information, but they also can pick up information as it does off of a DVD or CD and then makes it into a picture. So the laser goes up into the informational source and then brings back the information because it's so dense. If a computer had to do that and figure all that data out, it would take minutes or hours to get even the most basic information. The only way you can get it quickly and fast is by using photons. Now, how does this fit into radionics? As I'm kind of sum this up here. Well, informational energetic fields produced by radionics are huge, 100 terabyte at basic, even the basic levels. It could be up to thousands of terabytes of information that an average informational energetic energy field has. So how are you going to transfer that through analog systems? All these people thinking they're taking analog signals and they're somehow using this in a radionic or psychic fashion. They have machines on computers, yet there's absolutely no sensing devices whatsoever. You know, I recently got an email from a doofus who was doing biofeedback, which is interesting and has been around for about 60 years. And biofeedback machines that sense bioenergies and the tightness in your body and how you're responding to different things commonly run several $1,000s. And of course, there's been minor or smaller units that have been out there as well. And these were sold in the 80s and 90s for a couple $100s that you put your fingers on. They're kind of like a little lie detector thing. And lie detectors kind of work off of biofeedback as one of the ways. There's several ways they work. And as I said, we don't have time to cover all that. But the bottom line is that you put your fingers on it and you would then give you a sound. And that sound would start off very high pitch, ooh, and you were supposed to relax and bring it down, ooh, bring the sound down. But of course, these apps you get on your phone that someone has ripped you off for can't do any of that. But you got pretty graphics. Well, if there's no sensing device from your actual phone, some sort of meter, and this is a problem I've had before, people say, well, your radionic stuff, well, where's the in plate and out plate? Where is it going to? Or you look at a screen? Well, where's the energy transfer? How is it sensing things? Well, none of these computers have any kind of plug-ins to do that. They're running a program of what? So if a computer has some sort of plug-in sensor, well, that would make a little bit of sense. But the bottom line, it doesn't. It doesn't have it. None of these systems have anything that plug in to sense what you're doing. Some programs do, particularly those that are sensing your brain activities, etc. Well, they give you a headset with a sensor on it. Usually your fingers are connected or other things. All of these are kind of biofeedback information, but you have to connect to something. If you're not connecting to it and you don't have a way for technology to sense what you're doing, this is all just garbage out there. So, and this is, of course, what we get into there. So how are you going to move 100 terabytes of information through a computer that can barely handle watching a movie, barely can handle your emails, barely can handle anything, and oftentimes is super slow? And streaming, what is that? You mean pictures move on your computer? Oh, mine don't. It looks like an old Crank movie. Well, I mean, this is what many people experience. Of course, streaming is getting a little better, but that's speed again. You're moving information at a faster speed thanks to, hopefully, fiber optics and things like cable. Cable has its own problems, and when there's massive use of cable, the speed tends to go down. Phone lines are even worse, but they're all figuring out ways of getting large amounts of data. But the data is a problem. So, and of course, you can get some faster lines, dedicated lines, all this kind of nonsense that they talk about. And of course, this is possible if you live close to some place and you have a rocket on your head which draws in certain energies, whatever the nonsense that these things are. But let's remember that. So it's data again. So when people think that they can digitalize these kind of energies, they're complete morons. It doesn't make any sense. We have to understand that there is, if you're digitalizing, if you're using regular hardware, you are then getting regular hardware results, etc. Things cannot be amplified. You cannot amplify these signals through digital things. This is all nonsense that a lot of people like to talk about. Now, do digital products such as CDs, DVDs, etc. have information in them of a biophysical basis? Well, they do, but the levels of it are very low and the transferring of it is extremely difficult. So what you're doing is you're making stuff into an inferior format because you somehow think that those lumps of poo that are called computers, the black boxes from hell that they are, the box of nightmares that computers often are, almost daily, causing one problem or another, you somehow think that that is advanced technology, and you'll get some boob like Elon Blofeld Musk tell you how great his technology is. It doesn't work. None of it works. He's achieved zero. And he's a giant con man, thinking that, and he's telling people that, oh yeah, we've got this in a year or 2 years. it never happens. Just like his drivable on their own taxi cabs and cars that drive, none of this works. Just like his solar houses that don't work. They were not even built at the time that he went out there and talked about it. These were nothing but con man ways to push his stock up, to build more of his high-techy Tesla car. Tesla's turning over in his grave. There's a car that's a piece of shit like that named after him. So what an insult. A battery-driven car. I don't think Tesla even looked at regular batteries. He certainly was much more advanced at that, trying to draw in cosmic energies to run engines, as is being done with neutrons and tachyons today. But hello, we use 150-year-old crap technology, but ours are different. Yeah, our batteries are bigger. We spit farther. And you better believe I stink more than anyone else. Come close to me and find out. I'm Blofeld. So the whole idea is that all of these things that go with this nonsense is what we have to look at. So if you're going to move massive amounts of information, you're gonna have to use very particular type of resident technologies. At this particular time, the best out there is what's offered by Radionic Tech, of course, which is using tube amplification to pick up these unique, huge energy fields, the resonance of them, and they are able to pick up lots, but not quite all that you need ultimately. And of course, we're always improving that. The only way you're going to get massive amounts of energy that you can move from one place to another or project to a particular person, place, or thing is by using a particular laser system. This will pick it up. Not only that, if you're going to do anything digital or analog in terms of the way that most people do things, well, analog works through mostly higher energy psychic powers, but they're biophysical in nature and they're tapping into the higher aspects. Psychic powers are the low level. This is the kindergarten. When you get into the biophysical, you're getting into very advanced energies. These are not digitally able to be copied. It's as simple as that. Digitalization is great for photographs. It's great for videos. It's great for everything that you want to use in those areas. But when we start digitalizing informational energetic fields, it doesn't work. It actually hurts the energy field. So we have to understand that you're using massive amounts of matter. And to do that, you're going to have to use different technologies. Some people claim to get results from using some sort of holographic, but the whole idea is we just don't know with any of that. Generally, that kind of stuff is a big failure at this particular time. So we just don't know. There's certainly some interesting information there, and that's taking a energy form and making it three-dimensional, which is basically increasing or carrying the huge amounts of terabyte of information to its target. But I don't think it in any way can copy or produce the results that photon-based, laser-based technology can. So understand that when you're using informational energetic fields of a consciousness biophysical level, you are using huge amounts. You're using hundreds of terabytes for the most simplest visualization, the most simplest manifesting energy, are using huge amounts of data that are staggering to the regular computer field that's out there, which has trouble handling any kind of data. And of course, they want to keep compressing that data so that it can flow faster. But in general, most things that we download, upload, etc., depending on where you are and what your systems are pretty pathetic. So the bottom line is you don't take a huge informational energetic field and reduce it down to digitalization. Anybody doing this is an idiot. They don't know what they're doing. Now, you have to use the correct technology so that we can actually find these things to do correctly. So we have to learn how to grab these energies, transfer them through machines, amplify them, and then deliver them to the target. Now, the problem with, of course, laser-based units is the fact that they do cost a lot more, and it takes a unique type of technology that only radionic tech knows about. The other situations where people just want to digitalize things or make computer things is kind of a joke. And to think you can take numbers and then shoot these numbers into scalar antennas to produce results like the quasi-computerized units are out there, the really junk technology that these so-called computerized units are, is wrong. It shows a quite problematic situation with the thinking of the people with that. And the bottom line is just not technology. And these people seem to now be mixing with those people that have been involved in the so-called free energy con game for many years, that they seem to be friends with these con artists that were free energy people, the same free energy people that now are hooked up with Satanists and involved with organized crime, so it appears. So all of these things seem to be a very difficult and typical destruction of technology, move people back into crap technology that everybody thinks is advanced. People think basically your portable cell phone is a great achievement. Well, what does it do that is unique? What does it do? Does it do anything different than your home phone did? Well, not really. Does it do any different than... Well, all it is a miniaturized computer to a certain extent, and to a large extent, it's inferior. Yeah, you don't have to carry the yellow pages with you. You can find different things. But again, you're talking about internet. That really has nothing to do with the phone. So they've combined the phone with internet, and you can carry it around with you at different levels of potential toxicity and problems. They certainly are not safe devices, especially to put next to your head. So we all need to understand that as part of what's going on here. But all of this, people overestimate what technology is. There's only really one technology that is advanced, only one technology that ultimately has great value to you, and that's manifesting technology. Next level technology that radionic tech offers. Life is about manifesting. Do you really need to carry a phone? We all do it now because they're cheap and it's easy, but, people live for a long time without it. Do you really need to access the internet on a tiny little phone? Well, what's all that kind of crap for? All that seems to be quite bizarre to me. And to give it that it's something special, and the fact that people are using their phones mostly because they are cheap and don't want to get a computer, number one. Number two, they are too ignorant technically to use computers, which if you're going to do any kind of serious work, if you're going to view any kind of serious information or even read, well, you need a decent sized screen. It certainly isn't even the larger phones of today. Some tablets are okay. I use a Kindle. I find that 11-inch size to be okay. But, I work on a 24-inch monitor screen as my normal screen, and that's wonderful. And I don't have to squint, and I can see and read everything easily. All of this stuff is not technology. It's nonsense. It's toys for stupid people. And they're not doing anything different than the original invention did. And the fact that you can have a yellow pages in your phone, or you can find a restaurant in your phone, but that's not even really phone technology, as I said. That's internet technology. And you're connecting to the internet on an inferior device because you carry it with you. This kind of crap technology is very typical of being embraced by an ignorant population who's fed the largest bunch of poo that possibly can be offered to them. And they're more than happy to gobble it up and then tell you how good it tastes. So we have to get away from that. When it comes to advanced next level technology offered by radionic tech, manifestation technology, the ultimate technology is producing results for you, manifesting something in your life, not helping you find a restaurant, not messaging somebody, not talking to somebody on the phone. These kind of things, while are common good tools and things that everyone uses, it's not really technology. It's not really something that adds to your life per se. These are conveniences. Don't carry a phone book. Talk to somebody you don't have to. Waste your time on a stupid little phone to keep yourself stupid, ignorant, and disconnected from the world. Oh, what a dream. So the whole idea is that that's not technology. Technology would do something for you. Technology would take something that is difficult to do and make it easy. Now, most software doesn't do that. Most software is so difficult to use, it takes something simple and makes it hard because computer programmers are dumb idiots, moron, buffoonish slobs that should be kept in a cage until they're older, and then we should close the cage permanently, wall it in. So the whole idea is that these are the type of things that we actually run into. So we need to keep this blatantly clear of what's going on with technology. And next level technology is going to be, and still has been, and is being used to this day, and has been for many years, photon-based. It's always going to be light energy based. Light is energy. Light does everything. Lasers do just about everything that you can possibly think of. And most people are just mystified by it. Or they think they're ray guns. And if you use a laser, you're going to burn yourself. These are the kind of nonsense that people run into and are believing in stupid technology. The bottom line is most technology takes 15 to 20 years to get to the public. It's being a little faster now, but it's not really new technology. New technology still takes a long time to be mass produced and get to the public. It used to be 20 to 30 years. That has cut down a little bit, but new technology, not really. I don't see any new technology out there. And of course, the only technology that has value is how do you manifest in life? How do you empower what you're doing so you're successful at it, so that you can achieve the goals you want in life, no matter what that is, from a higher spiritual level to a higher financial level to a higher consciousness level to healing yourself and all those critical things that we all need to do to survive in this world and grow. That's the next level of technology. And this is not coming from primitive digitalization or computerized garbage. People that think like that are thinking really back 20, 30 years ago. And all of these computerized junk out there really have never achieved anything. They have a bunch of really delusional morons that are not producing any results. And of course, if you buy a piece of junk for $5,000, you're going to say that it works, doesn't it? Just like most people who bought a lot of very expensive and luxury cars, they all love them. They love them because they invested all that money in it, and they would look like an idiot if they said they didn't like it. So it's the same old nonsensical story that we get from everything. But the bottom line is none of that stuff really works. It doesn't work well, and if it is working, it's working because your primitive psychic energies are going into a scalar antenna that helps that manifest. It has nothing to do with the little dial on there that tunes in a bunch of stuff and the 20-cent little computer built into those things. It's all nonsense. It plain and simple is nonsense, and there's nothing there. Certainly, a computer, as I've just mentioned, and a scalar antenna of the nature that they are, cannot handle the terabytes of information that are poured into them. It's never been tested, and it certainly doesn't work. So all of that is part of this delusional nonsense perpetrated by people who are basically been compromised and are working for the bad guys. Plain and simple, and they feed you expensive garbage. So this is where we are looking at in this day and age, and that's what you need to understand. The informational energetic fields are hundreds and hundreds of terabytes full of information. This cannot be transferred in any other way except through high-level biophysical functioning with the help of resonant technologies like tube amplifiers that can handle this and amplify it. And ultimately, the finest way and the best way to move this energy is through light or photon beams, which is a proven method of moving large amounts of data. So hopefully everybody understood that. Hopefully people understand that it was put in a clear enough way. If you know anything about data, about lasers, other things, probably you don't. I don't know if people really think about that, but if you've ever tried to send a large file or get a large file, there is a nightmare to all of these situations, to the fact that you have to wait hours and hours to download huge files. And while this has improved somewhat, it's still a nightmare. So to think that you're going to download terabytes of information, that you're going to easily do this and be able to use it is impossible. And that's exactly what radionics, psychotronics, and all these other tools are all about. They're all about huge informational energetic fields that actually create energy and matter that you manipulate. Do you think that's going to be what? 30 gigabytes? 200? And maybe, oh no, it's 1 terabyte? Well, I don't think so. Huge amounts of informational data require huge ways of moving that information so you can use it in life. So hopefully that's clear, and this again fills in another little hole, another little space in your understanding of what subtle energy physics are all about and what radionics and the quote God box really does. Until next time.